Well, good evening, everybody.
Happy Thursday. Yes, it is. Oh my gosh. I was
Yeah,
going to say,
they're
wait a minute.
all,
It's Monday.
it's
I've got the
all
wrong
one big long
day.
day. Yeah, it all just runs together. We got Michael Chuchong upstairs in our house because he refuses to come and sit with us. Why is that, Michael? Because we don't shower on a show day because we're so busy doing
Doing
media.
media.
Yeah, that's it. And you come in right off the bat and you're like, oh, it stinks here.
No, you didn't.
Well, he might have. He could have.
I was going to sit on the end of the table there.
Yeah, where Bob and Doug are.
Yeah.
He could have been the third Mackenzie brother.
That's it. We could have moved the Mackenzies forward, given you my computer, and you could have run the show from right there.
Yeah, I mean, you got a toque and everything. It would have been great. Oh, well, right? Opportunity missed. One of these days, bye for now, Michael. Pop in anytime.
Please pop in.
Be cheeky. This is one of those things. We had another show planned not too long ago. We were going to do another show, and then you stumbled on something about a day ahead of me stumbling on something. And this is one of those times it's like we'd love to spend it would be like 100 hours of research to understand this thing properly. And we're like, no. This has to come out now because this is probably one of the biggest things we've stumbled across in a while.
Yeah.
And you were independent on this thing. Well, Trump was giving his speech about Project Stargate, and we will talk about that. Let's start with that speech.
My honor to welcome three of the world's leading technology CEOs. And in the case of Larry Ellison, it's well beyond technology. He's sort of CEO of everything. He's an amazing man, an amazing business person. But to announce the largest AI infrastructure project by far in history, and it's all taking place right here in America. As you know, there's great competition for AI and other things, and they're coming in at the highest level. We're joined by Oracle Executive Chairman Larry Ellison, SoftBank CEO, my friend Masa Yoshi-san, and CEO of OpenAI, and I would say by far the leading expert based on everything I read, Sam Altman. So that's great that you're coming in together. That's a massive group of talent and money. Together, these world-leading technology giants are announcing the formation of Stargate. So put that name down in your books, because I think you're going to hear a lot about it in the future. A new American company that will invest $500 billion at least in AI infrastructure in the United States, and very, very quickly, moving very rapidly, creating over 100,000 American jobs almost immediately. This monumental undertaking is a resounding declaration of confidence in America's potential under a new president. Let me be a new president. I didn't say it, they did. So I appreciate that, fellas. But it'll ensure the future of technology. What we want to do is we want to keep it in this country. China is a competitor and others are competitors. We want it to be in this country, and we're making it available.
So red flag number one, Project Stargate. Might not mean anything to a lot of people, but you and I, with our show, we have the advantage of knowing a few things. It's insufferable at parties is what we are. Project Stargate was, I mean, the official launch in the 1970s was a CIA secret project, but it has ties back to the 1940s Nazi regime, and it has ties to all the way back to Egypt. Yes. So, Project Stargate is the CIA's official psychic spy program, basically, is what it is. It includes remote viewing, where you take your consciousness and put it in other places to see what's going on. So they spy on other people, and there was no way to stop it. And then eventually they learned how to manipulate things. The Men Who Stare at Goats was about this, where they were killing goats with their brains.
That's a great Coen Brothers movie, by the way.
Yeah, it was a Coen Brothers movie, and I'm a big fan of the Coens. Yeah. So it has ties through Air Force, now Space Force and MK Ultra and mind control stuff. And so this Project Stargate I'm sure that's no mistake.
I don't think it's any mistake, especially what we uncovered today. We know that the Predator agenda is all about opening up portals and transhumanism and all of that sort of jazz. So why wouldn't Stargate be a fitting name for the new AI program that they're going to run? Because that fits perfectly with the Noosphere.
Right, the Noosphere. So mind stuff combined with AI, and they're talking surveillance, and that is just the small tip of the iceberg. That conference went on to Larry Ellison from Oracle saying AI is going to help us with this new vaccine that's going to come out right out of the gates, not 48 hours out of the gate. And Trump's always talking about his new vaccine, which is going to cure cancer. And AI can help us test the blood and catch cancer a long time before, and then engineer a vaccine just for you,
Individuals.
specifically for you, that can cure your cancer.
You know, when we were watching the inauguration and Trump's making all his speeches, and he's making the speech about he's going to make America healthy again. Americans are going to be healthier than they've ever been. We're going to eliminate disease. We're going to eliminate illness. I immediately turned to you and said, he's rolling out more vaccines. He's 100% on that vaccine mRNA train. And what does RFK got to say about that? Because I thought he was showing the world how all these mRNAs were actually hurting and killing people, as his boss is jumping full-fledged onto that train. And the fact that he said, if for anybody who's in the medical field, AI will be doing the testing, AI will be doing the diagnosing, and AI will be creating these mRNAs. So if you're in the science field or the medical field or the research field, say goodbye to your jobs, because AI got it.
Right. So Sam Altman was there, head of OpenAI. He said arguably the leader in AI, but some people would argue that it's a toss-up between Sam Altman and suspiciously who was not there, Elon Musk, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what is Elon Musk working on? What's one of his biggest things?
Oh, the Neuralink?
That was what I was alluding to, yeah.
Oh, perfect. I got it right.
Yeah.
Yes, and again, the Neuralink connected to AI, connected to the Noosphere.
So he's got Neuralink, but he's also got Stargate. They're pumping a whole bunch of money into AI, and from the sidelines on
Starlink.
Didn't I say Starlink?
You said Stargate. So Starlink.
Oh yeah. Well, I went in the same now, maybe.
Maybe.
So yeah, and so suspiciously he was not there. From the sidelines on Twitter, he's like, I know SoftBank doesn't have that money. They got maybe 10 billion. These guys don't have the money. So what's he calling? Oh, what is Elon going to have to come and save the day now?
Of course, he's the hero of the day, right? It's all about him.
So the pieces of the puzzle are falling into place for one of the biggest reveals that I think we've ever seen in human history. Besides Luke, I am your father, it is the Noosphere. And
I don't know if we're saying it right, Noosphere or Noosphere.
Noosphere.
Noah as in knowledge.
Noah, yeah, it's Greek for intellect, thought, mentality. There's several little iterations in Greek on that. So basically mind sphere. So the biosphere is the living planet and the Noosphere is the thinking planet, is basically how that breaks down. Whoa. Yeah, and you'll have to forgive me. I started learning this today, so I don't know everything about it, only about like 80%. So
we were discussing, there's so much here that we're probably going to have to do another show on this, because there is so much. You know, on top of the people involved, the pioneers, where it's gone from 1911 right up to today. Vladimir Vernadsky is the one who coined the term noosphere, and that was back in 1911. So that's how long or longer that they've been planning the mind sphere, or planet mind if you want, this agenda. And thank God for technology and thank God for AI, because it has now catapulted the noosphere right into the present day. This is happening right now, folks. And I'm sure Elon Musk and Stargate and who knows who else. Oh, wait a minute. Yes, we do know who else. Who else is involved in this? The Noetic Science Institute. And they've been doing noetic science or noosphere science for decades now. And in fact, I came across a study that they did, and I want to say it was 2014, or I think it was 2014, the science. It may be even more recent than that. But anyway, a survey where they actually put out on the Internet of Things, a survey asking people to participate in their study about, there was only 4 questions that they were asked, and it had to do with like time travel and clairvoyancy and reading futures. Do you dream the future? All this sort of stuff. And what exactly are your thoughts, and what are your earliest memories of being able to do this? And how do you get into the mind space to do this? Do you use technology? Do you do frequency? Do you listen to music? How do you get yourself into that mindset? And I don't think it was a coincidence that they're wondering how people get into the mindset of collectively seeing into the future, or seeing into the past, or being in 2, 3, 4, 5 places at once, etc., etc. Because the noosphere is all about collective consciousness and thought.
Right. The technology aspect is a small aspect of the whole philosophy of the noosphere. And it's basically a single consciousness is what they're trying to do. And how are they doing that? Well, in several ways. One of the ways was during 2020, unless you were on board, you're either with us or against us. I mean, we're all in this together. Nobody's safe until we're all safe, that sort of thing. The collectivism and trying to get over the tribalism and using tribalism to get into collectivism, ironically, as well. But you've discovered memes were another one.
Yeah. So some of the ways that they go about getting collective thinking out there. And I apologize if my mic is canned sounding. I just got a note from Rumble. Sounds like Jody's mic is off, very canned, like it's Chris's mic picking her up. Interesting.
Well,
everything's there.
You come for this anyway. Let's be honest. We've had trouble with that cord, so
we have. So I don't know if that's what's going on.
Maybe.
I apologize. We will try and fix it. But
turn
anyway.
you up a bit. Turned you up a bit. We'll see if that helps.
Okay, hopefully that helps. Thank you, Rusty Wiener. One.
All the things I didn't expect to hear out of your mouth today. Anyway.
Sorry. Where was I? I lost my train of thought.
Memes. We're on to memes.
Oh, yes. So one of the ways that they are working our collective thoughts is by putting memes out there. They call it the meme sphere. And I actually wrote down, we jumped way ahead here. How? So they're using the meme sphere, and the meme sphere is a unit of cultural transmission that requires the use of replicators in order to survive and evolve from one host to another, each time modified, adapted, and remixed. And they're saying that the meme sphere is the most powerful way to transmit memes through story. And they're saying that a collective story is what is how they're getting basically their mind control messages out there. If everybody is collectively working towards the same story, or envisioning the same story, or thinking about the same story, or on the same frequency as this story, then all of a sudden,
I yawned. I can't believe I yawned.
Like, am I boring you? Then all of a sudden you have the noosphere.
Right. Well, we have a video that goes right into it. Do we want to play that?
Sure. Or
are you still in mid-thought?
Well, no.
Okay.
Well, that's way on
Finish
like
your
page
thought.
3 for me. So I'm like, where is mind sphere? But another way that they're also doing it is called mind bombs. So between mind bombs and meme spheres, this is how they're getting the collective, unbeknownst to you, to actually do their dirty work and participate in their noosphere evolution.
There's a lot of that going around, not just with that either. It's we're building the CBD system for them, the digital money system for them. What else are we doing? We're helping build AI for them. It's no fun. It's no fun for them to get to do it themselves. It's more fun for them to get us to do it for them. You know, up into including like MAID. It's no fun to kill us anymore, and now they want to get us. They want to trick us into doing it ourselves, right?
Exactly. So, in case you don't know what a mind bomb is, because I'm like, what's a mind bomb? You're blowing my mind right now. A powerful idea that catches fire, spreading from person to person, culture to culture, and one of the most strongest mind bomb that all of you will be able to quickly relate to and understand what a mind bomb is the Occupy movement. So Occupy Wall Street, our freedom convoy in Ottawa, we occupied Ottawa. That is the strongest and most relatable and most recognizable mind bomb there is. And they're saying that these Occupy mind bomb are moments sparked by revolutions, also going on strike, stepping out from one's own culture. So when you go on strike from your job is kind of your culture, your people, your tribe are the people you work with. Well, when you all decide to go on strike, you're stepping outside of your employment culture. That's another mind bomb. So Occupy movements, protests, strikes, those are all forms of mind bombs. So guess what, guys? Every time you do a protest, every time you occupy the streets, every time you go on strike, that is a mind bomb, and you are actually working in a collective noosphere for the global predators. Go ahead and play your video.
Wow. It's our video?
Our video.
Yeah.
When I think about Noosphere, for me, the image that comes up is in an enmeshing around the Earth, you know, that idea of moving from a living Earth to a thinking Earth. And that if there is this network that does encapsulate the globe, then each hub in that network, each light, is not only an individual, but it's a community of individuals. And those communities are not only speaking to each other verbally or through fiber optics, but they are influencing one another through thought. And that thought ultimately is a question of whether or not this is a positive endeavor, this is about the growth of humanity, or whether or not this is a conversation about only the dark path that we seem to be on today. And I choose the optimistic side.
I think about the noosphere in terms of consciousness, in terms of subjective experience of being human, interconnected with other humans' subjective experience.
When I think of the noosphere, I think of the global mind, the layer of mentality that has emerged that is essentially many human cerebral cortices glued together and merged by technology and tied with all of the data and material and information that has been sequestered externally in writing and other materials, and that is sort of the product of the human story. And it is essentially the mind of the global superorganism that has emerged.
The noosphere is the thought level or the thinking level. And I think, for me, you can see this most clearly in the internet. I have knowledge, you have knowledge, we get together, we can share that knowledge face to face, but because of the communication capacities that we have now and the ways we have to network with each other, I can have access to the knowledge of people that I've never met, who I probably will never meet.
I'm pretty sure that the first time people came up with the notion of atmosphere, there was all kind of discussion. What does that mean, atmosphere? It's just the air, it's just the clouds. Why do we need this concept of atmosphere? Well, now we have understood that all that air and these clouds and these winds, they're all connected and they just circulate around the whole globe. So the sphere is the idea, it covers the whole globe. So for me, the noosphere is just like the cognitive version of the atmosphere. It's not the air that's circulating, it's the ideas, it's the information that are circulating, and that form, what's important is they form an integrated system.
For me, the word noosphere awakens a sense of an earth that thinks. This is Teilhard's words. So we have with James Lovelock and Lynn Margulis this amazing insight into the earth being a living cybernetic system. But Teilhard takes it further and says, we are now on the verge of going from being a living planet to a thinking planet. That, to me, is the noosphere.
A global consciousness, a networked mind and sphere of which we are all a living part, that's all incredibly inspiring.
What it does provide for me is this global consciousness notion. There is something that we connect with, each of us individually, but also us in the context of relationship as part of a collective body, superorganism, and being connected through something larger than ourselves that we may be able to tune into, but most of us are learning how to tune out of.
I very much see the noosphere as an ecology of mind. So sort of that sort of layer of the very much, not only just the thinking layer, I know that was sort of Teilhard's word, but I think when we think of thinking, we often think of thinking in words and thoughts, but I think that the mental space includes all that we experience, right? Our feelings in addition to our thoughts.
On one hand, it's a term that's supposed to be comparable to the biosphere. And the biosphere is the influence of life on Earth. So the noosphere is the influence of humans on Earth. There's a physical dimension to that, our structures, our influence on the atmosphere, all of that. But there's also a mental dimension. The word is drawn from the Greek for mind. And so it acknowledges that there's a thinking dimension. And then it's there we get into interesting concepts such as global consciousness and that sort of thing.
So the noosphere to me really is something that began to develop with the first evolution of human symbolic communication. It's been developing, I think, for close to 2 million years. It didn't look like language initially. It was much, much simpler, much more like ritual perhaps. But over 2 million years, not only has that system become more sophisticated, that is the communication that holds us together, but it's become an essential part of human development. Also, that symbolic niche is something that is not biologically passed on. It's passed on by itself, by being communicated, by being talked about, by sharing interpretive habits and stuff. But what that says is that we have biologically evolved to do this. We've evolved to be noospheric beings. We've evolved for 2 million years with brains that require this to be complete. For us to be a normal human being, to have human thoughts, it's already to be in a noosphere. It's just that the noosphere has enlarged and deepened and now become radically accelerated in the present time.
Well, that sounds lovely.
Right? So, I don't know if you were taking note of all of the universities and professors and the names that are all involved in the noosphere. So this is not a new agenda. It's not a new idea. And some of the other notables that are involved in the noosphere project, they kept mentioning many different people throughout their things, but NASA, DARPA, and WEF are all part of the noosphere. Now, DARPA actually has a satellite that is currently monitoring the galaxy to empirically prove that life exists outside of the galaxy by drawing on the collective mind. So that this satellite, it's called the James Webb, I guess it's not a satellite, it's a telescope. It's called the James Webb Telescope. And the James Webb Telescope is essentially looking for a pattern or a non-pattern to show that there is life existing outside of the current realm that we understand life to exist in.
Such a government mission statement. We're looking for a pattern, or maybe not a pattern. Anyway, give us $20 billion.
Correct. And this telescope is sitting on the L2, which is the equilibrium part, 94 million miles from the sun. And they're saying that the James Webb Telescope is the eye and humanity is the mind. So our collective is somehow working with this telescope to put out into the universe frequency or energy, and they're hoping that a response of a pattern or a signal of some sort will come back to us.
Yeah, wasn't it Stephen Hawking who said, yeah, you can put stuff out in the universe, but I'd be very careful about doing that before you do that, because you have no idea who's going to answer that call.
Exactly. And they keep talking about wanting us to work as a collective conscious or a collective consciousness, so that we're all basically going in lockstep together to put out these frequencies and these messages into the universe, hoping that some artificial alien will respond.
Wasn't that Bill 663, was it? Where it's like future thought crimes.
Future thought crimes, yes.
Mm-hmm. So now you have to think ahead of time. You got to think right, and you got to start thinking right so you don't get fined.
Exactly. So Bill 63 is pertinent to this. There's a reason, and we don't always understand the reason why legislation is put through, or bills are put through or introduced in our legislatures and in our House. But the more we dive and the more we find stuff like this, the more we start to understand, one, Agenda 21, and two, the legislation that is being jammed down our throats, even though it completely contradicts
right.
our charter, our constitution, and our Canadian Bill of Rights.
Right.
Because they're saying that the here and now, the people, the here and now, the individual doesn't matter. It's all about the collective.
Right. And the Medicago thing now makes a lot of sense. Remember Medicago? It was a vaccine company that was going to go up in, I think it was Quebec, and
yes,
and they gave all sorts of money to it, millions, if not billions, millions of dollars to Medicago, which was going to be an all-natural, plant-based vaccine company, and then they folded. Nobody knows where the money went. But I actually looked into it, and Medicago was a front for DARPA, so it was a way to funnel money into DARPA for just this very thing.
Exactly. So on top of the schools that were mentioned in that video that we just saw and all those professors, there's the Noetic Sciences Institute, which I already mentioned. I don't know if, actually I'll say him last, Vladimir Vernadsky, and he's the gentleman who coined the term of Noosphere back in 1911. He is a Ukrainian scientist. Albert Einstein and Darwin, they also believed in the noosphere, that it was the next evolution. And I know Chris and I have done many shows on the evolution of the human being. That's what transhumanism is, or is about. And lo and behold, noosphere goes hand in hand with transhumanism. It's actually just another fancier word to say transhumanism.
Well, sure. In Darwin, the theory of evolution, kind of the original document kind of leaves off the last part that it was actually a eugenics study. So Darwin was a big advocate of eugenics.
Exactly. So they're saying that the law of collective consciousness is the next step in Darwin's evolution theory. Barbara Marx Hubbard, and it was her.
That was a piece of work.
Right? So Barbara Marx Hubbard, I was sent a link to somebody else's website, to Whitney Webb's website. And so I went on to Whitney Webb's website, and I was poking around in there. She's got all kinds of amazing articles written and Substacks and all kinds of stuff going way, way back into history. If you get a chance, go check it out. I think it's called Unhinged. I didn't write it down, but I think that's what it's called. Unhinged or Unhanged or something like that. But anyway, Whitney Webb's website. She has a plethora of information. And I was going through, and this gentleman's letter, and I think his name was Carl, and don't quote me on that, but she posted one of his articles from 2022. And it caught me by surprise or off guard, and I clicked on it and decided to read it. It was a 32-minute read, according to that. I think it actually took me longer to read because I was so blown away by what I was reading and taking notes upon notes upon notes. But Barbara Marx Hubbard, she is funded by the Rockefellers. Oh, surprise. So the Rockefellers are involved in this as well. But she was brought on the scene way back when. She actually studied under Teilhard de Chardin, who is the man that you heard some of the professors refer to in that video that we just watched. Teilhard de Chardin is really the gentleman who's getting all the credit. Everybody who's in the noosphere, they've all started their studying from his work. Thank you, Michael. But anyway, Barbara Marx actually studied under him and with him in real life. And she was brought in to market transhumanism as spiritual enlightenment.
And she's taking that to heart.
She really, truly is taking that to heart. So every time you hear about Gaia, and I know a lot of people are not going to be happy when I say this, Gaia is actually part of this agenda. It's actually really important that you buy into Gaia in order to make the collective consciousness work. Okay. But Barbara Marx Hubbard also is running the Heart Math Institute. And I don't know if you all know what the Heart Math Institute is, but this is what really got me shook. It is part of the Global Coherence Initiative. And for those of you who do not know what the Global Coherence Initiative is, because I most certainly didn't, it is, or what they're studying and what they're pushing, is the neurofeedback wearables to digitally synchronize humanity's heart rhythms and brain waves into electronically induced states of synthetic spiritual bliss. So transhumanism is now being sold to you as spiritual bliss, as getting back to spiritual enlightenment. And this woman is part of it, Global Coherence Initiative, the Heart Math Institute. So for all you out there who have been injured by a certain bioweapon that was heavily pushed on the masses from 2021 right up till present, who ended up with heart issues and now have to wear a heart monitor or a pacemaker that is connected to an app on your phone. You all think just your doctor is getting that information. The Heart Health Institute is receiving that information. And what the Heart Health Institute, part of the Global Coherence Initiative, is working on doing is bringing all of these heart rhythms and brain waves, for those of you who have now brain monitors on or hooked into the Neuralink universe, they are actually experimenting with you. They are trying to bring everybody's hearts into the same rhythm, sort of lockstep, shall we say, speed up, slow down. They are toying with you and experimenting with you, and you don't even know it.
Right.
In order for this collective consciousness to work, it's about love, which, according to them, love is not an emotion. Love is actually an energy. So love through the brain and through the heart is creating this energy that they are putting out into the world under the guise of collective consciousness in order to bring us all under one world, one health, one collective in order to work together, in order to beautify our world and fix the meta crisis that we're in. There's another big one. Now, the gentleman was actually in this video, Brian, I think his name was Brian Swim. If you go to the website, the Human Energy Project, your head is going to literally explode. The Human Energy Project has so many videos, so many articles, so much on the noosphere. And in fact, they're encouraging you and people like you to join them, join their mission, because they're having a hard time finding people who want to give up their individuality to be part of the collective consciousness in order to beautify our world under the guise of love.
Say that again. They're having trouble finding people.
They're having trouble finding people. Dr. Trozzi. Did he do a Substack on
Free
that?
plug, Dr. Trozzi. There you go. Dr. Mark Trozzi. That one's for free.
That was for free. The Human Energy Project. That's the website. The Human Energy Project. Thank you, Michael. So they are having trouble finding people who are buying into giving up their individuality in favor of one collective consciousness.
Having trouble finding people who want to give up their individuality.
But they're also selling this under the guise of love and more freedom. If you join the collective consciousness, you will actually have more freedom and more love.
Yeah, love will turn you around. All you need is love. Love.
And I'm not really sure how that happens when you are basically giving up your individuality. You're giving up the right to think how you want, wear what you want, buy what you want, shop what you want, where you want, eat what you want. When you're giving up all of that, I don't understand how you have more freedoms.
Wow. It's the great mystery, isn't it? It's weird because they, when we say collective they, we generally refer to the Luciferian agenda that's been going on for eons. They sold us out, or made us sell ourselves out based on consumerism. I mean, we just gave everything up based on consumerism. And now it looks like they're trying to co-opt and pull back on that consumerism, which is interesting to say the least.
Right? Mm-hmm. So we've got some slides on Teilhard de Chardin, just to give you an idea of who this gentleman is or was, and I cannot see that for the life of me.
That's because you're old. Teilhard's holism stands on firm evolutionary ground. Teilhard's incorporated a unique infolding in evolution on the level of human evolution. While lower species fan out in evolution, microevolution, humans are continuously coalescing into super species. Wilson identifies the omega point as the single global superorganism on the level of the noosphere, which is the level of thought. He sees Teilhard's law of complexity consciousness as a basis to describe major evolutionary transitions, MET, in which mechanisms evolve to suppress the potential for disruptive within group selection, whereby between group selection becomes the dominant evolutionary force and the group becomes so cooperative that it qualifies as a higher level organism. You need your glasses.
I've got my glasses.
Oh, they were here the entire time.
They were. You started reading, so I thought I'd let you finish. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, and it was 2000 and I'm gonna go back to 2006 or 7, when I found out that technology was considered a species at this point. Because it's interconnected, it's growing, it's thriving, it seems to self-replicate. So it was classified as a species like way back then.
It's classified as an alien or artificial alien species.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Amazing. You had a couple more slides there.
I do. Well, this is Teilhard.
So Teilhard, this is a quote: "Who will give evolution its own God?" So he believes that the noosphere is going to evolve humans into godlike, or actually higher than God-like creatures.
Yeah. Human energy presents itself to our view as the term of a vast process in which the whole mass of the universe is involved. In us, the evolution of the world towards the spirit becomes conscious. And just a brief on the Noosphere. Superconvergence of psychic energy, higher form of complexity. Human acquires more being through interconnectivity with others. So combining that with what we know about Neuralink, which is in its third test subject now, as of last month, I believe, or this month even. So it starts coming together. We've talked about transhumanism. We've talked about like the cyborg
Internet
stuff.
of bodies.
Yeah, we've talked about this several times. Now here it is. It's much bigger than we thought it was. You know, it's much bigger than the transhuman or humanist angle.
Exactly. Well, this is now coming at transhumanism from the spiritual side. They believe that it is, you know, the power of technology with the wisdom of knowledge intertwined in the spirituality of religion to elevate us to a higher godlike state. Many humans and many AIs connected together.
And they sell it like this, right? Those are all the parts of a car. We are all the parts of a car. Together, we make a car. Individually, we're no good.
We're just parts. We're just flawed parts.
Right. We can just sell the parts off, I guess, which is, I guess that's where trafficking comes in. Yeah, but together we make something useful is what they are saying. So get rid of individuality, forget about your purpose and destiny, forget about the reason you were placed on this, you specifically were placed on this planet, and falter over to the collectivism. And how'd that go so far in 2020? How did that work out so far? Not so much if you weren't on board.
Yeah, well, if you weren't on board, then you were cut out of society. But if you were on board, you ended up dead or with serious health complications.
Yeah,
it wasn't good no matter how you looked at it. Really.
No, I want to bring that up. Someone with a brain implant will be light years beyond the next smartest person on the earth. This is Pandora's box that's already open. Can you imagine? You can go into a coffee shop and nobody's talking to you, but they can all talk to each other and you wouldn't even know. It will be a class division like we've never seen before. And I don't think people are going to want to withstand not jumping into the next stage of this evolution. And they're selling it based on love. And this has some serious religious connotations, especially in the last chapter of the Bible, attached and wrapped up in all of this.
Exactly. Now, the starting of this, I'll go back because we heard them talking about the third evolution. And what they mean, the noosphere is considered the third evolution. And depending on who you talk to, they have different names for the three evolutions that have happened since creation. And basically they're going from the Big Bang theory that God doesn't exist. There was I want to say a clip or a photo where they have all these binders set up, and they're saying, the first 33 binders, it's all gray, and that gray is because thought, depending on who you talk to, thought didn't exist, and nothing really exciting was happening. And that was called the geosphere or the cosmogenesis. And the geosphere was basically that there was layers of minerals around the globe, such as protons, neutrons, and electrons. And they were just floating around aimlessly. And every once in a while, they would collide or have some sort of a relationship with each other. The way the cosmogenicists describe it is elementary particles, through their relationship with each other, created the transformation of the stars. And that for them, the intertwining, the banging, the becoming one, the electrons, neutrons, and protons, then all of a sudden started creating and smashing into each other. And then we ended up, stars exploded. These things exploded. And in that explosion, the Big Bang theory, all of a sudden, sand, soil, water, trees, and then you got your insects, your dinosaurs, and then we have the caveman who eventually evolved into human beings. So that next phase, the Big Bang phase, they're calling it the biosphere or biogenesis. So the biosphere, so we go from being a layer of minerals around the globe to now a layer of organic life. In biogenesis, they say it's star interactions with each other caused explosions, which created rocky planets with molecules that form deeper relationships with each other to form life. So again, it's molecules all mixing in and forming these deeper, deeper, deeper relationships to form life. And now here we are, life as we know it continues to evolve, and we continue to have these deeper, much deeper relationships with each other. And if we all get on board to the absolute most deepest relationship we can have, which is the collective consciousness, we will succeed in moving through the next evolution, which is the neogenesis or the noogenesis or the noosphere. And the noosphere, people say, human thought that shapes our world. The human brain plus the internet structure equals the human brain is a single human consciousness. The internet is the global consciousness. Put those together and you now have a collective consciousness that will take us into this other higher being. And when you see the pictures, they've got, it sort of looks like static and stars around the globe. And they're saying that those are our thoughts. Our thoughts create another layer above the biosphere.
Is that really evolution, though? It could be argued that it's de-evolution, if you ask me, because if protons and atoms right in the beginning can have sex and create a star, and when we have sex, we just get an ungrateful kid, have we lost a few steps? I think we've gone backwards.
Maybe. And you know, they've been pushing for a long time. No more kids, abortion, children are a nuisance, wait till much later in life to have children when it's a lot harder to have children. So they've been depopulating or on the eugenics realm for this very reason.
In the West, in the East, they encourage them to have as much kids as possible. And part of the agenda is so they can outnumber us. No, I'm not kidding. That is part of the planned.
Well, we've heard people being interviewed saying that. You
Yeah,
guys aren't
absolutely.
having kids anymore. We're moving to your country and we're populating like crazy. We're going to take over.
Right. So that's a Western philosophy. Don't have kids. Somehow kids became a curse.
Well, it became a curse because they want everybody doing the collective consciousness, which means we won't need our bodies because we'll all be living in the virtual reality world of consciousness.
Right.
The neogenesis go based on the theory of humans emerged in Africa, and then they spread quickly around the planet, creating and sharing stories or thought. So stories is very important. Stories place all through the noosphere. So sharing, creating, and sharing stories or thought. The human identity evolved from self into family, into the clans, into tribals, into nationals, into continental, into planetary. And they're saying where we are now in the evolution of the noogenesis is the planetary. And they are working on, if we can all get on, if you could all just take part in a collective consciousness, get on board, we could move all the way up to the galactic and eventually into the cosmic. And if we move up to the galactic, we surpass God, and then into the cosmic. And then we start over again because now we're back at the cosmogenesis.
Right. And that's basically how they're selling this. If you are domesticated mind is another way for an individual, then you are bathed in fear. And so your individuality is a fear-based thing, but the collective, the equal collective out of love and respect is the love mind or the hive mind. So there it is. Separation, that's a fear-based thing, but interbeing with one another on the planet, that's based on love. So this is they're going to sell it to people. They're going to sell it through the higher vibrations. They're going to sell it through the manifest thinking era. So that's how they're getting it. This is like an incredible marketing communication plan that is going to sucker a lot of people in. So to the domesticated mind, the fearful mind, a story is just a tool. It's a tool to achieve something. You tell a story on why you should be hired. You tell a story on why you should marry me. You should tell a story on why you should give me more apple pie than my brother. So it's a tool to get something. Whereas on this hive mind, the limbic mind, the love-based mind, story is a part of being. So we'd storytell. But here's the thing: up until about the 1970s, I would say, that was always the way. We were storytellers, and storytellers, they wove our culture. They bound us together, and up until about the 70s, when we became very self-centered and self-centric, that was always the way. So this is a recent phenomenon.
Exactly. Well, they're saying that that's what the noosphere is. It's the passing on of hereditary knowledge. So we have far more knowledge than they did 100 years ago due to our ancestors passing on stories. It was a tool in order to get us to evolve. However, that being said, the domesticated mind, all of this has come about because there's a meta crisis. And the meta crisis is the domesticated mind, which lives in a fear-based world that can easily be controlled.
True story, though. That is exactly how society is run now.
Exactly. Yeah, it is. Sorry, I'm just looking here. So, because I want to make sure I say this right. So it is the domesticated mind gave rise to the meta crisis. And the domesticated mind deals in power and technology, and it's not capable of curing it on its own because it needs a mind that transcends its predecessor, which is where we welcome in the liminal mind, which is wisdom. So the blue is the domesticated mind, and the red orange is the liminal mind, which is wisdom. And it's saying that the individuals live in the domesticated mind, which is based on fear. And because we live in fear, we're easily controlled, which means we cannot fix our problems in the world. And all of our problems are our systems, our healthcare system, our educational system, our political system, our environment, the climate change crisis. We are unable to cure and fix those because we are missing the liminal, thank you, mind, which has wisdom, because wisdom comes from the energy of love. And when you are living in a controlled, fear-based cycle, you cannot possibly feel the energy of love or wisdom. You can go back to those slides. Those slides are really good. Sorry.
So this is where they get into the manifest destiny stuff. And so there's potentiality, and through a story, it becomes an actuality. And they're saying in the fear-based mind, something like a tree is just a dead thing to use. It's a dead thing to chop down so we can use the wood.
It's a natural resource.
It's a natural resource. So we can chop it down. We can make paper out of it. We can burn out of it. We can do all sorts of things with it. And because trees never grow again. Oh, wait a minute. They do grow again.
As long as we plant them back.
But to us, it's a dead thing. It's not a living thing. It's a dead thing to be used. Whereas the love-based mind looks at it as a living being.
We would never cut it down. We would take care of it, nurture it.
We would nurture it.
We would live in harmony with it.
Right. And so if we are collective, if we are connected through a single consciousness, we can come up with solutions on how to work and live within the other living beings, and all under the connected power and energy of Gaia.
Exactly. So the story is what you tell yourself regarding either the dead thing or the living being.
Right.
So the story is the key, and choices we make, we are caught up in a world of indecisiveness. We are not able to choose which story we want to be a part of. But if we all just choose the story of love and wisdom, then we would be able to live in this collective consciousness. And our potential would rise all the way up to the galactic and cosmos.
So you've got the potentiality of either the living tree or the dead tree, and based on your story, that becomes the reality. So you could be the dead tree based on a fearful mind story, it becomes a dead tree. But based on the loving mind story, the potentiality becomes actuality of a living tree. So it is basically what your mind creates becomes the manifest destiny. And so there is truth to that, not in a new agey sort of way. There is truth to that by all means. So they are harnessing the same exact knowledge that they have been mocking and putting down to make it incredible until they get to the point where they want to use it for their own good. And that is where we're at. So between power and wisdom, the fearful mind runs from power, the hive mind runs from wisdom. But they're saying together, harnessed properly, the fearful narrative power mind within a loving confine can actually be a powerful strategy tool. And then and combined with wisdom and love, you create a synergistic collective noosphere mind,
which will fix all of our cultural and structural defects. And the choice now is up to you. Do you want to choose power, which is technology, or do you want to choose love, which is wisdom? And if you choose love, then you will automatically join with the technology, because love is wisdom. So wisdom will choose power as well. And it'll choose with the collective consciousness and save the world together on a higher vibrational manifestation of spiritual love energy. And we will all bow to the God of Gaia that believes that we are one with the world. And love believes that we are
Goddess.
Goddess. And love.
Guy's a chick.
Guy is a chick. Okay. So this, and it goes into even further, it goes into the top autopoiesis of fear, which is cult-based, which is where your domesticated mind lives, versus the autopoiesis of love.
Right. Let's break that out just a little bit. So they're saying the fearful mind is run by the narrative. And so those people that rise to the top, they're
cult members.
They're in the top. They're the elite.
The business elite is what they actually say. Business elite cult.
And they use fear as a control mechanism. So this new evolutionary thing run by the very same people they're pointing to themselves as the problem, because that's what the people want to hear. And I said to you when Trump was giving his inauguration speech, I said, we both know that Trump's going to go sideways. We both know he is now proving what we already knew. But when he gave his inauguration speech, and I'm like, wow, you really want to believe it so much, don't you?
Yeah.
Right. And this is what they're going to do. They're going to offer you something pretty. So it sounds really great until you start pulling back the curtain on this.
Correct. And they're saying that the autopoiesis of love is equal to culture. So fear is equal to cult and love is equal to culture. And the autopoiesis of fear and love are the yin and yang of civilization, the metaphysical engine of civilization. So power and wisdom originate from your story, and power comes from the answer to how questions, such as how do we get power? Through technology. Wisdom comes from the answer to what questions. What is our ultimate goal? What is growth? What is worth growing? What is worth achieving? So power comes from the how questions. Love or wisdom comes from the what questions. But man, you put those together and now you've got a collective consciousness that can do literally anything. And fear runs on a basis of complete control, isolating the greater force that can provide wisdom to guide it. Therefore, Fear is the generator function of the meta crisis that we are currently living through. And it is our indecisiveness that is helping to cause the meta crisis. So they're saying you need to get on board. You need to sign up. You need to take part in this collective consciousness evolution so that the human species can move forward. And if we listen to Miss Barbara Hubbard, she has a name for that new human species on top of some other crazy ideas.
Want to play this video then?
Yeah, please.
We are cropping up everywhere, what I call the new humans. Does it feel new? Are we giving birth to the next stage of human species, folks? Do you think so? What are the qualities of the new human that nature is once again out of this crisis producing something new? The new human has got an evolutionary spirituality that he incarnates the impulse of evolution personally. Does anybody think they've just finished? They've done everything they need to do? Do I? No. So it's a quality of the new human. You never are finished. Why? Because the impulse of evolution is you and is in you. And when you know it's in you and you say yes, consciously to the impulse, what it does is reveal to you more and more of its characteristics. In other words, you get a picture of what you might be moving toward if you place yourself in the story of evolution, and you know where are you going toward? Higher consciousness, greater freedom of the individual, and more complex and loving order. Is that right? Does anybody feel the desire for more consciousness, more freedom, more complex order? Well, that's really good because that's evolution inside you desiring that. We didn't make up that desire. That desire is making us up. And when you say yes to it, and if you'll say a big and loud yes to it, I've noticed this in myself, it turns on big time. And then you get more and more and more that you need to do. The name of the new human, as we are expressing it, is Homo Amore Universalis. Homo Amore Universalis would be the species of humanity coming out of the synergistic convergence of the emergence within us as individuals. But nature is doing its magic again. It's creating synergy that we don't necessarily have to do, even be conscious that we're doing. But if we are conscious that we're doing it, and we do have an opportunity to be, I would say, consciously synergistic, or like in a SynCon type thing, coming together to co-create, then I believe we could collectively experience, perhaps for the first time collectively, what it's like to be Homo Amore Universalis.
Wow, that chick is making it sound really super great. Now, she went viral about a year ago.
Yes, she did.
This is the same lady. We'll just replay this. This is a long speech, and she did not correct herself, just so you know, but we clipped out this long little part here.
First species on the face of this earth to be aware of evolution, to be aware that we are affecting our own evolution by everything that we do. The babies we eat.
What the fuck?
The babies we eat.
Yeah, same lady. Same lady. She did not go back and say what I meant was. Nope, she let that stand.
So do you think maybe that's why they're having people issues, human resource issues? When you start hearing that kind of talk, and they really do their best to keep it flowery and spiritual, and make it sound so positive and loving, and like you really want to become one. You don't want to be individuals, because individuals are greedy and selfless and destroy. You want to become one with everybody else on this collective consciousness, and then you hear eat babies.
Right. Oops.
Maybe a little bit of the agenda got out. I think she was probably in a very, very safe place where she was doing this speech, and I have a feeling
Just was not on her guard.
Well, I have a feeling that nobody was supposed to be recording, because if you look at that video, it is super, super dark and not lit. So I'm thinking she thought she was talking privately to her own people. And those of us who know the agenda and know these horrible people, eating babies is not something they...
No, we do not recommend that at all. Not even, and actually, if you're light of heart, do not even go down that road, because you won't like the can you open up. So they are doing, other than that, when nobody's watching, other than that, they're doing a great job at selling it. And so now,
and that is her job too.
Yes.
Sorry, remember
her
that
job
was
is to make it sound like it's so beautiful,
spiritual, and like
you all want to be. It reminds me so much of this book called Blood Music by Greg Bear. It was a fantastic book, by the way, sci-fi writer, and it just keeps coming back to me with this whole synergistic stuff. This way of selling it, this is nothing they're saying isn't in. It's all in the Bible. Like, all of it has been in the Bible for years, including just up until the last part, which they don't mention, is that the Luciferian endgame is a one world religion. And one world order. And so they will establish a one world government and a one world religion. And that looks suspiciously like the warnings in the last book of the Bible, Revelation, just in case you're not a Bible reader. So they're going to get it based on this lie that they're going to sell you, which is, this is so beautiful and so great. But don't forget, they have done so much work and effort at discrediting the Bible and making Christians look terrible as villains, just so they can steal that knowledge and present it under their own power.
Yeah. Well, our compression video talks about going above and beyond the Bible. How this
Compression of the noosphere is far from news to us today, but the question of the desirability of this endpoint is still a matter of heated debate. On the pessimistic side, we have Star Trek's great brain-computer hive mind, the Borg, dystopian portrayals of AI, and fears of an insect-like humanity that we see in the likes of H.G. Wells' novel The First Men in the Moon. On the optimistic side, we have the rapture of the nerds that we call the Singularity, and Desjardins himself. Desjardins saw this final and total compression of the noosphere as the bridging point between religion and science. This is the omega point, where the noosphere compresses into one point, just as the Big Bang was originally one primordial atom. It is the complementary endpoint to mirror the Big Bang's starting point. It is the meaning of the universe and the birth of God. However we feel about the future of this process, the reason why I find Desjardins' work so important is that it speaks to many of the dynamics in our society. It gives us a frame whereby we can situate man's place in nature and biology's place in the physical world. It offers us a holistic vision of the sciences, while also offering us a novel frame through which to look at the problems arising out of social media and globalization, as well as the climate crisis. There is a thrust of complexity driving us forward that is far more fundamental than any individual human's greedy appetite. There is a will to compression, to bring this folding in on itself that is the hallmark of complexity to its final degree.
So there you go, goods and bads. Choose for yourself, folks. Yeah.
But they are constantly pushing the agenda that you are flawed as one. You are flawed as an individual. You are greedy. Your DNA is no good. Your thought processes are no good. You are a useless piece of car material unless you hook up to the technology and hook up with the wisdom of everybody else to elevate your conscious collectiveness into the next sphere. And even in here, they connect the technology and the wisdom. Once they connect, you become higher than God. You are now a godlike person. And isn't that why Satan got thrown from heaven? Because he thought he could be God or be equal to God or better than God?
I believe the Bible said it was general douchebaggery. Yeah. It's one of the later translations. It was basically, I can be like God. I am God. I want to be my own God. And that is the sell for everybody. Make yourself your own God. And we have done that. I was just talking to Michelle Smith today. We've had her on the show twice. She's a trauma expert and also like a really smart, well-versed Christian in spiritual warfare and all that stuff. And she was talking to somebody who actually gets rid of demons for a living. And he said that the world is now systemically possessed, systemically demonic. It's so pervasive now that we can't tell the difference between right and wrong. And as a matter of fact, we cheer on wrong and admonish the right. That is where we get the whole idea of wanting to be our own gods, right? That was the lie to Adam and Eve. You can be as great as God. And that's why we have what we have as far as consumerism. We have to consume to, we never fill that void. We never feel fulfilled because we're trying to always please ourselves. And it just never works out when you make yourself an idol.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of the world is demonic and we're always championing the bad, here's a TED Talk where, the first time I watched it, I went, oh, this is really inspirational. This is actually a nice message. And then I watched it again and I went, hokey doodles, he pulled the wool over my eyes. Even I fell for it.
Yeah, she's hook, line, and sinker. She's already bought into it.
I was. So this
got a USB port right in their temple.
USB port.
Yeah.
But this is the language they're using to get people to buy into the noosphere. Go ahead and play it.
Billions of years ago, there was only darkness. Then, in a single moment, the universe explodes into light. Stars, planets, galaxies. And after an incredibly long time, sentient life emerges. Bacteria, troglodytes, dinosaurs, mammals, me and you. Over millions of years, we build our societies. We weave our cultures. We tell our stories. There are peoples who keep within the bounds of life and peoples who push beyond them. Fire, swords, plows, steam engines, airplanes, computers, the internet. And finally today, climate change is happening. The sixth great extinction is underway. All of life hangs in the balance. If I could offer a single mind bomb synthesized from the front lines of the emerging paradigm, it would be this. We are not a mistake. Life wanted humans in the world. But while this moment was inevitable, our survival is not. You are here for a reason. The very fact of your existence is proof enough. You have a necessary and important gift to offer the world. Now is the time to be courageous. Now is
Okay, well, I guess we're done with that guy.
Well, shoot, because
it was inspiring. It was a Hallmark card in a video.
Yeah, but it wasn't done yet because the end of it was a really beautiful wrap. But again, he talked about the mind bombs. He talked about the evolutions leading up to this point. And he talked about the gift that you have, the beautiful gift that you have, and your purpose is to rise up and share that gift. He was love mind bombing you into the noosphere, into buying into technology needing to converge with you as a human being in order to take part in the collective consciousness, the story of love, because this is what is next for us, and this is what will save our world going forward, because we've made a mess of the world. And as a flawed human being, you are still worth saving, but only if you give up your gift to the collective consciousness.
And if you don't, you're full of fear.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you're in a cult. And if you don't, they're gonna apply thought crimes because you don't think like the collective.
Exactly. So this all fits hand in hand with Bill C-293.
Sure does.
One world, one health, one collective.
Well, it also fits really well with the Bible as well. You can see a lot of this stuff coming. And here's the thing: this very same people that are selling this are the very same people who've caused division forever. And we were noting that around the 60s, the eugenics program took a big shift, whereas they were trying to sterilize bad bloodlines and people who have low morals. Around the 60s, they switched that philosophy up, and they decided to start flooding the world with people who they would have considered not worthy to move on. And we have so many problems in the world today. And the more problems that people create, the bigger government is. For example, government does immigration, too much immigration without any infrastructure. They send it out, and then we get taxed for having 2 houses because they need those houses, so we have to pay the forfeit on that. The more problems there are, the more government you need, so that sort of thing. And I think in a grand scheme within the context of this, more problems means more division, means more and more problems, and we are going to be so tired and so exhausted that we are just going to want to give in because this sounds so utopian and so good. But if anybody who has had a iPhone subscription for quite a while, problems happen. Technology happens and people control it, and we have not seen anything in the past so far to say that we should give up our autonomy or individuality and our control to somebody that will control that means, because they say that they're doing it for the betterment of humanity.
Exactly. So their mainstream view of human nature is that we're all independent beings who are indifferent to the universe, driven to maximize our own self-interest, intimately looking out for oneself, leaving the rest of us to feel paralyzed, overwhelmed, and indifferent. And so they're saying that, obviously they're saying that is a problem, and it should no longer be something that we focus on. Oh, that's funny. I've got that done twice. And that the problem lies in the very core of our DNA. So we are all flawed. And if we're all flawed, then what is the point of even trying to save us? Well, the cultural and structural challenges, the 99% have created, but not to worry, because that same 99% can choose to create a beautiful world for the 100%, and this is love.
Yeah, and meanwhile, they're going to make a cancer vaccine, which, how could that go wrong? I just, on a very lighter note, and I'm going to go sideways on you here,
Okay.
but on a lighter note, I was making up the cover card for this, and I had a couple alternate pictures, and they're just so great that I didn't want to let them go into oblivion without actually showing them. The title of the show today is "It's Always Sunny in the Noosphere." And see, here's for a couple of contenders for our cover picture today. Look at that. That's amazing.
They are so sunny and connected.
That's right. And then there was the alternate one, Danny DeVito, Hive Mind connected there. Anyway, I love that. You can you can ask us for $59. We'll put that on a t-shirt for you.
But at the end of the day, it's all about synergy.
Mm-hmm.
And how can we meld our synergies together to make the world a better place? So one last video for you.
Modern science has analyzed all the forces in the universe. The most creative of these is synergy. Synergy is the way in which relationships give birth to powers that only exist through the union of two or more entities. After discussing a couple examples of synergy, I will suggest ways you might bring this power more fully into your life. I'm Brian Thomas Swim, an evolutionary cosmologist working with the Human Energy Project. Our mission is to make the third story of the universe better known. Our series of short films investigates the way humanity is building a nervous system for a superorganism called the Noosphere. As we deepen our understanding of the Noosphere, we begin to arrive at a collective sense of meaning, of purpose, that can help us address our global problems. There are 8 conditions for the rise of the Noosphere, and the one we will be examining in this film is creative convergence. If you bring together 100 billion eukaryotic cells in a very particular way, you have the human brain. The chemistry and functioning of a diatom is basically the same as the chemistry and function of each brain cell. But synergy transforms a collection of eukaryotic cells into something radically new. A network of eukaryotic cells becomes a power that can create civilizations, symphonic music, complex scientific theories. Nothing needs to be added on. The human mind arises from the synergy of its constituent cells. There is the magic of synergy. The magic of synergy is that when we find a special person or a special group of persons, our relationships bring forth the power of creativity, a creativity that exists and deepens as long as we remain inside these synergistic relationships. With the emergence of the Noosphere, a new level of synergistic power is at hand. Relationships, now possible at the planetary level, enable us to work together as a species toward a flourishing Earth community.
What an amazing, this is a well thought out, well planned out, well marketed lie. This is because it's something that we all want. We're all actually fighting for, but somebody wants to co-opt it and somebody wants to control it.
And they're trying to sell it to you on the synergy of relationship. If you want love, if you want freedom, if you want purpose, if you want destiny, you need to synergize with them. And once you're in, you can't get back out. Once you're in, you become part of the hive mind. And he's saying that is your purpose, to be part of the hive mind, no longer to be an individual with your own individual thoughts. And I believe we just went through the last 5 years a hive mind experiment. And it did not turn out well for the 99%.
Mm-hmm. Well, it didn't turn out well for anybody because you were mocked, ridiculed, tore houses apart, households apart, tore families apart. And if you weren't on board, you were mocked and abused. But if you were on board, you ended up getting cancer or something worse. So, yeah, this is marketed control and conspiracy personified. Yeah.
So given, the announcements of Trump And I know there was a hive mind going on. Trump is our hero. This is amazing. Let's become the 51st state. That was a hive mind bomb, meme sphere thing that was going on to get you to let down your guard, to fall into the trap of the agenda, which at the end of the day is to kill the human being, the eugenist agenda, and sell you on eugenicism with this flowery love, synergy, save the world. We're all one. We're all tied together. We all need to work together and synergize and synchronize our minds and our hearts. And you know what? When we do that, we lose our individuality. We lose creativity. We lose the essence of choice. We lose the essence of what makes us spectacular. We lose the essence of God's image.
Don't fall for the seduction. It looks good. It looks sexy. But we've got another big battle coming up. And, well, you know, just fortify yourself, prepare, because it's coming.
Exactly. And I like to say knowledge is power, but they have now stolen that from us, because they're saying the collective knowledge with the biodigital convergence of technology is now power and wisdom at such an exasperated rate that we all need to buy into it. And now I'm beginning to go, oh my gosh, I got to find a new saying, because knowledge is preparation. That's what I'm going to say. Knowledge is preparation. When you know more, you can prepare yourself for what's to come. You can do some investigative work to figure out what choices you're going to make, because right now they're saying your indecisiveness is what's causing or is part of the problem of the meta crisis. So let's get our own homes in order. Let's look into the flowery language they're using and prepare yourself to be the strongest you're ever going to have to be in order to get through this next battle.
Right. Speaking of which, spiritual warfare, we mentioned it last week. We were going to put a conference together. That conference is going ahead. It's either going to be end of February, beginning of March. We are going to have 20 spots open. We're not going to Zoom it out. It's going to be an intensive personal workshop. I think we have 17 spots left after 1 week. So info@tfmreport.com if you're interested in doing that.
I can give you more details.
Yeah, we'll feed you and stuff. So there will be a fee. There's a few rooms, so there'll be a fee for that. Now we're an hour east of Toronto, so if you are not able to travel to that, this is not for you. But if you are able to travel to, we're just by Port Hope. So if that is in the realm and you're interested in doing that, this is all the way up to, starting from, personal inventory, all the way up to the stereotypical casting stuff out. So we're doing that. We're going to do it collectively. It's going to be more of less of one person talking and a bunch of people listening. It's going to be more of a collective. We're going to learn and work through stuff together as a collective hive mind. Yeah. Wow.
They're stealing our words. We're running out of words.
No hive mind. No hive mind. This is about finding your purpose and your destiny and your individuality. So we are doing that.
Because you do have individual purpose and destiny. Do not allow them to confuse you by thinking your purpose and destiny is to become part of a collective, one world, one mind, one love, one spirit. It is not.
Yeah, it'll teach you how to do sermons so you can be able to spot the lie, all sorts of stuff. So we're really looking forward to it. Sort of. It's going to be a lot of work, and it's going to be, you're dipping your toe in some very dangerous waters. So please pray for us if you do that, because we're going to need some protection as well. Thank you.
So, like I said, knowledge gives you the ability to prepare for what's coming, prepare your children for what's coming. And at the end of the day, when you know better, you can do better. So this was mind-blowing to me, and the timing of Trump and Trump's announcements about AI and Trump's announcements about the mRNA cure-alls, this was the absolute perfect timing to, one, have it fall into my lap. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Whitney. And two, to bring it to your lap. Knowledge, we need to do the hereditary culture thing by passing on our knowledge.
Right.
So we have now passed it on to you. Please feel free to pass it forward so that your friends and your loved ones don't get caught up in the flowery language and think that this is where they need to be in order to expand their spirituality.
Right. I haven't done it yet, but we'll put some links up on the Rumble description. And if we can get some time this week, we will also make a Substack out of it. So check us out at tfmreport.com. You can get to our Substack there, or just go to our Substack straight on. And I don't even remember that as substack.tfmreport.com, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
Right.
No, is it TFM Report?
Fringemajority.substack.com. That's right, because I could not change the URL. So that's our legacy name.
And you're right, Colombian Canadian, we have to be as healthy as we can and have our mind clear. Get to know your one self strength. Wow.
Awesome.
I love it. Thank you.
Okay, everybody.
Have a great weekend.
Yeah, okay.
Hang out with your friends, your loved ones, make memories, or take some sort of educational action. Love you all.
Good night, everybody.